Oprah Winfrey, How a Poor Girl Became a Billionaire Icon. On January 29, 1954, in the small rural town of Kosciuszko, Mississippi, a baby girl was born into circumstances that seemed to promise nothing but hardship. Her name was supposed to be Orpah, after a biblical character, but due to a misspelling on her birth certificate, she became Oprah. Her mother, Vernita Lee, was an 18-year-old housemaid, unmarried and unprepared for motherhood. Her father, Vernon Winfrey, was a coal miner and part-time barber serving in the military at the time of her birth. Oprah entered a world divided by racial segregation, grinding poverty, and limited opportunities for African Americans, especially in the Deep South. She was born at a time when Jim Crow laws still dictated where Black people could sit, eat, and even drink water. Her earliest years were spent on her grandmother's farm, where indoor plumbing was a luxury they couldn't afford, and poverty was a daily companion that shaped every aspect of life. Oprah's grandmother, Hattie Mae Lee, raised her for the first 6 years of her life while her mother moved north to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, searching for better work opportunities. Life on that farm was austere and demanding. Hattie Mae was a strict, deeply religious woman who believed in discipline and hard work. She taught Oprah to read before the age of 3, using the Bible as her textbook. By the time Oprah was 3 years old, she was reciting scripture in church, earning the nickname The Preacher from congregation members who marveled at her confidence and eloquence. But behind this early display of talent lay a childhood marked by isolation and loneliness. Oprah wore dresses made from potato sacks because her grandmother couldn't afford anything else. Other children mocked her for her shabby clothes and her precocious intelligence. She spent hours alone talking to animals on the farm, creating imaginary friends to fill the void of companionship. Even in these early years, she felt different, as if she were meant for something beyond the cotton fields and the dusty roads of rural Mississippi. When Oprah turned 6, her grandmother became too ill to care for her, and she was sent to Milwaukee to live with her mother. But instead of finding stability, Oprah walked into a nightmare. Her mother worked long hours as a housemaid and struggled to make ends meet in a cramped apartment in one of the city's poorest neighborhoods. Vernita had little time or emotional bandwidth for her daughter, and Oprah was often left in the care of relatives and family friends. It was during this period that Oprah experienced trauma that would haunt her for decades. She was sexually abused by a 19-year-old cousin when she was just 9 years old. The abuse continued with other male relatives and family friends. Oprah lived in silence, carrying shame and confusion that no child should ever bear. She had no one to turn to, no one who believed her, no safe space to share her pain. She felt utterly alone, convinced that somehow the abuse was her fault. School became both an escape and a battleground. Oprah was a bright student, but her chaotic home life made it difficult to focus. She was labeled a problem child and bounced between her mother's home in Milwaukee and her father's home in Nashville, Tennessee. She acted out, seeking attention and validation in any form she could find. By the time she was 13, Oprah's behavior had spiraled. She ran away from home, stole money from her mother's purse, and skipped school regularly. Then, at 14, she discovered she was pregnant. The pregnancy was the result of the ongoing abuse and her desperate attempts to find love and acceptance. She felt her life was over before it truly began. At 14, what future could possibly await her now? She gave birth prematurely, and the baby died shortly after. Oprah later described this as both the most devastating and, in a strange way, the most fortunate event of her young life, because it forced her to confront the path she was on. In desperation, Vernita sent Oprah to live with her father, Vernon Winfrey, in Nashville. This decision would prove to be the turning point in Oprah's life. Vernon was a strict disciplinarian who believed in education, responsibility, and self-respect. He and his wife, Zelma, provided structure that Oprah had never known. Vernon required Oprah to read a book every week and write a book report. He set a curfew and enforced it. He expected excellence, not excuses. For the first time in her life, Oprah felt that someone believed she could be more than her circumstances. Vernon would say to her, "You are not the worst thing that has happened to you. You are more than that." These words planted a seed in Oprah's heart. She began to believe that maybe, just maybe, she could rewrite her story. At East Nashville High School, Oprah began to flourish. She joined the drama club and the debate team, discovering that she had a natural gift for public speaking and performance. She won a speaking contest that earned her a full scholarship to Tennessee State University, a historically Black college. But even before graduating high school, her talent was being noticed. At 17, while still in high school, she was hired by a local Black radio station, WOVL, to read the news on air. She became the youngest news anchor and the first Black female news anchor at Nashville's WLAC-TV. People were drawn to her voice, her presence, her ability to connect. She didn't sound like other news anchors. She sounded real, warm, empathetic. She spoke as if she were talking to a friend, not reading from a script. But success didn't come without setbacks. When Oprah moved to Baltimore to co-anchor the evening news at WJZ-TV, she was told she was too emotional for news. She cried on camera when reporting tragic stories. She stumbled over hard-to-pronounce names. News directors tried to change her appearance, her hair, her style, molding her into what they thought a news anchor should be. They even sent her to a salon for a makeover that resulted in a disastrous perm that made her hair fall out. Oprah felt like a failure. She was demoted from the evening news and reassigned to a morning show called People Are Talking. It felt like a step down, a professional embarrassment. But this demotion was actually the beginning of her destiny. On that talk show, Oprah discovered her true calling. She wasn't meant to just report the news. She was meant to connect with people, to tell their stories, to create a space where vulnerability was valued and truth was honored. Her ratings soared. People loved her authenticity, her humor, her willingness to be herself. She didn't try to be someone she wasn't. She asked the questions viewers wanted to ask. She laughed, she cried, she shared her own struggles. After 7 years in Baltimore, Oprah was recruited to host a struggling morning talk show in Chicago called AM Chicago. The show was in last place in the ratings, competing against the powerhouse Phil Donahue show. Oprah was terrified. Chicago was a major market, and failure here could end her career. But she took the risk. Within months, AM Chicago went from last place to first. Oprah's approach was revolutionary for its time. She didn't talk down to her audience. She sat with them, literally and figuratively. She addressed topics that other shows avoided: racism, abuse, addiction, sexuality, grief. She created a space where people felt seen and heard. Her show was renamed The Oprah Winfrey Show and was syndicated nationally in 1986. Almost overnight, Oprah became a household name across America. But even as her star rose, she faced obstacles. As a Black woman in an industry dominated by white men, she was constantly underestimated. Critics said her success was a fluke, that she'd never last, that audiences would tire of her. Instead, the opposite happened. Her audience grew larger, more diverse, more devoted. Oprah used her platform not just for entertainment, but for transformation. She introduced America to important authors through her book club, turning unknown writers into bestsellers overnight. She addressed taboo subjects like child abuse, speaking openly about her own experiences for the first time on national television. That revelation was terrifying for her, but it liberated millions of viewers who had suffered in silence, thinking they were alone. Oprah showed them they weren't. She used her influence to spotlight social issues, to challenge injustice, to amplify voices that had been marginalized. She became more than a talk show host. She became a cultural force, a trusted friend in millions of homes, someone people turned to for guidance, inspiration, and truth. By the mid-1990s, The Oprah Winfrey Show was the highest-rated talk show in television history. Oprah became the first Black woman billionaire, building a media empire that included her production company, Harpo Productions, a magazine called O, the Oprah Magazine, and later her own television network, OWN. She produced and starred in acclaimed films like The Color Purple and Beloved. She became one of the most influential philanthropists in the world, donating hundreds of millions of dollars to education, women's empowerment, and community development. She opened the Oprah